For this super quick sky painting, I'm going to use 3 colors only: Cerulean, a raw Sienna, and Cadmium red light. Obviously a primary triad, but it mixes some nice colors, a little bit muted, but still I can get the full range of secondary colors and some nice warm grays. So for this one, I don't even start with a sketch. I'm just going to wet my paper all over. And I'm using one brush for most of it, which is just a synthetic round brush. And I start off by painting my white clouds with raw sienna, just a really light wash, just to warm up the clouds a little bit. And then I'm gonna come in with my cerulean blue and then just paint around where I want the clouds to be. Helps to have a bit of a photo reference, but you can obviously just paint imaginary clouds. And then I'm going to pull that all the way down to the bottom of the page. And now I've mixed a pretty strong purple. It's probably a little bit too red, but that's okay. I just want to create a darker cloud in front of all the other clouds. And then I've cooled that purple down a little bit with adding a bit more blue to it. And this is not sped up. This is how fast I paint the sky. The whole fun of this exercise or this little painting is that you're quick and swift and you just slosh some paint around and create a nice wet in wet sky. If you paint landscapes, skies are obviously very important. They kind of set the scene, but you should never spend a lot of time on them. Skies will look overworked really quickly, and my rule is to paint it in a single wash, so I rarely go over it once it's dry. Everything has to happen while it's wet. And I'm just going to add more shadows, lighter and darker ones, and just slightly vary my grays here so to get some variation. I've let it completely dry, and that's my sky finished. And if you doubt your sky at this point, you're going to have to continue with the painting, because often it only makes sense once you have the rest of the painting in. So I painted some light blue distant mountains, and now I'm going to progress with my darkest shape, which will set the contrast between the foreground and the sky. And that's similar to my darkest cloud shape there. It's a dark purple, maybe made it a little bit warmer, and now a muted green for another hill that's overlapping. Because this is a more saturated and warmer color than the mountain in the middle, we create distance between the foreground and the background. A quick zap with the hairdryer, and now adding a few trees, smaller ones in the middle distance, and they're literally just a few dollops at the top of the ridges there. Of course, by only using 3 colors, we get a nice color harmony. Everything fits together. And now I'm mixing a very strong and a very dark color. And you can see I'm still using the same brush for everything I've painted so far, wet in wet, and now I'm doing dry brushing my trees. This is a very soft synthetic brush by Princeton, which allows me to push it onto the paper and create these lovely organic tree shapes here. The color isn't black. I can't get a black because cerulean blue isn't dark enough to mix a black, but it's pretty close, strong enough in value to create this lovely contrast between the foreground and background. And you can see what I meant earlier. You can't judge the sky until you've finished your painting, because now everything has been pushed in the background and we have this lovely little scene. And that took me about 10 minutes to paint. If you want weekly exercises that help you progress in your watercolor journey, then there's a link in the description for my weekly watercolor workout newsletter. Because the secret to progressing as an artist is frequent and consistent practice, even if it's just 10 minutes a day.